Hey everyone, how's it going? I've got a R31 Skyline which I've got to put a 411 in diff, and I brought a whole disc to disc rear end for it. So that's dual caliper. That's RB factory dual caliper setup, and yeah, I got the whole thing with Nolthane bushes for $350. So I'll try and whack that in today. That's going to be the main course. But yeah, I've brought this whole system, so I'll show you. Or assembly. So I got the whole rear end with arms, and so it's got a 411. I think it's a mini spool. It's dual caliper setup. So it's RB factory dual caliper brackets, and it's got VS Commodore calipers. I've got brand new arms on my car, so I'm going to switch the arms over. So I have spare arms, spare sway bars. So I got all the bushes and everything, so it shouldn't be too hard of a job. Just unbolt the old assembly and bolt the new one in. So I've done this a million times before. To the VL as well, I unbolted the whole assembly on my own, just with a jack and a piece of wood. They are pretty heavy, I'm not gonna lie, they are pretty heavy. But I'm gonna try and just take my time with it, so I'll do it properly. I've got about 3 weeks to prep for the track. So yeah, I've got that to do. I just got to give the car a service. I've got to chuck 2 other seats in it, because the stock seats, you get thrown out of them if you're coming in 100 k's plus on the entry, so it's not very fun. Yeah, so I guess I've got to start moving cars around. So I've got this R32 here, I've got to move out the way. I'm going to replace it with the 31, and I've got all those other cars in the back that I got to move, so that's going to take a bit of time on its own. Plus I got to move the diff assembly out the way. It's bloody heavy. It's really heavy. So we'll get stuck into it. So I'll give you a cold start on the Patrol and the R32 as well. So everything's switched around. That was a bloody effort. To move this around, I had to use a skateboard, which helped a lot, because this thing probably weighs like bloody 200 kilos. And it's 37 degrees Celsius, so I'm exhausted. But have a look how dusty this poor thing is. Oh my goodness. She needs a good clean. But let's get started. Cool, so I've jacked the car up, put some jack stands under it. Now I've just let the axle hang down low. Looks like it's touching, but got some room to get those wheels off. So I just let everything hang down low, just so we can sort of work with the axle a bit. But yeah, I'm going to leave the struts in and just unbolt them from the diff housing. I just got to unbolt those tail shaft bolts and then start doing those arms. I'll probably unbolt the arms from the front there and just let them hang down, and then sit the new axle up in there. So you're getting there slowly. Okay, so I got those drive shaft bolts out. There's one still in there now, I just got to wiggle out, but they're all out. Also, the brake line's been disconnected from the GK Tech line, so that's having a dribble over there. Also, I've just unwound this strut tower mount bolt. Sorry, not strut tower mount, the gas strut mount bolt, but that won't come out because the diff is still jacked right up. So, slowly now I'm going to try and undo the arm just at the bottom here. Right there, and sway bar links and the upper arms, and I think we should be ready to drop it down. Okay guys, sorry I haven't been recording much of what I'm doing. I'm just so into it, but I've gotten the bottom arms out, the trailing arms out, top arms are out. Drive shaft's unbolted, diff's still stuck there, so it needs a couple of hits just to unbreak that seal because it's sort of pressed itself together. Sway bar's disconnected. I just got to unclip these handbrake lines. Also I've got to unclip the handbrake lines from the calipers, which I'll do while I drop it down. So we're pretty much there. I got the struts out, so it's pretty much just I can move the whole assembly side to side. So I just got to drop it and try and make it come apart nice and easy. So it's almost out. Rear end's gone. Have a look at that. Didn't take long. Drive shaft decided it wanted to come with me, so I thought, alright, more than welcome. So that's the rear end that was in the car, and this is the rear end going in the car. So yeah, not too bad actually. It went a lot smoother than I thought. Had a bit of trouble getting these handbrake cables out, but a bit of finessing, I got them out. The hardest parts usually on these are the tail shaft bolts, and that rear brake line sometimes can be a pain in the ass and you strip it. But that's been pretty good in this car, and everything's sort of just fallen into place. So hopefully the install goes as smooth as the removal was. So let's start stripping this one and get it ready to put the newer arms on. Okay guys, so got all the upper and lower arms all in. That was actually not too bad. What I did was I actually got a scissor jack on one end, another one on the other end to sort of hold it and balance it, then the jack just on the snout at the front there of the diff, and sort of just eased it up really slowly. So as I did that, everything sort of just came into place. So all I got left is just to hook up that brake line. These are Commodore calipers, so these one hook up to my factory handbrake line, so I'm just going to cable tie those out of the way. And then yeah, once I hook up the brake lines, I can I can do the drive shaft, and then I can put it down and fill it with fluid and see how it goes. So she's getting there. So that's what it looks like. The new diff, obviously got to bolt that panhard rod in, and I've got to bolt the sway bar links up. So yeah, not far off now. Okay guys, so this is the old diff. That's the new one. New one's not as pretty as the old one, because I sort of painted everything up, but you know, it's going to be for track use only, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm running out of time today, unfortunately, so I'm going to end it here for myself, not the video. Come back tomorrow and I'm just going to bolt it all up and we'll take it for a test drive. So yeah, you'll see tomorrow. We'll be back at it again. And hopefully it should all go straight to plan. Everything should fit up perfectly. Fingers crossed. Hey everyone, so it's the next day and I've done a couple more things off camera. I was working on it till about probably 1 o'clock in the morning the next morning, and I bolted everything up. The only thing I have left to do is actually bleed the brakes and the diff oil. I actually went for a little parts run just before. So I brought filter for it, engine oil filter, some brake fluid so I can bleed the brakes, and I brought some oil, 2050 for the good old 30E. Also brought some cable ties as well, just cable tie those brake lines up. So I'm going to get cracking on bleeding the brakes. I'm going to try to do it myself. I've got my little tool I made actually, which I'll show you. It's literally just a bottle with a hose coming out of it, some fuel line, clear fuel line, so you can see all the clear lines, all the air bubbles coming out of the fluid. So I'm going to start doing that now, and then after that we'll take it for a drive and see how it goes. Okay, so I ran into a small issue regarding one of the calipers was actually leaking. So if you can see here, this top caliper, there it is, has no boot here, and it's leaking out through here. So this caliper actually was on the front, so I switched them around because I'm only going to be using one set of calipers. I'm going to be using these ones because these actually connect to the factory brakes. I'm not using the dual caliper system just yet because I've still got the inline set up, and I won't have time to sort of muck around and get that dual caliper setup working. So next track day I'll sort of do that, but I reckon I'll go to the wreckers and just get another Commodore caliper. So that'd be pretty easy to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bleed this one, and hopefully it doesn't leak anymore. So you can see where it's been leaking just there, so not too bad. At least they can be switched around pretty easily. I just switch the lines over. So this is my little ghetto setup I have. So it's literally just a bottle with a hole in the top, some clear fuel line, and you got to try and make the line go up a little bit so you send the top of your, what do you call it, gravity is there, so then when you get off the brake pedal it doesn't start the air bubbles don't start going back into the caliper. So this actually works quite well. I've bled probably every car I have with this little system, and it's been great. So yeah, so I just got to crack the line, pump the pedal a few times. This one I can sort of see the line from where I'm pumping, and then once it starts getting clear fluid I'll just crack it, close it again, pump it a few times, open it again, and try and get all the air out. Okay, so I've spent a bit of time bleeding the brakes. All seems well. Done the hydro as well. They are sort of in line, so it's got to all work. Like I said, I'm not going to be using the dual caliper setup straight away, as I haven't got the front section. Did the diff oil as well, so that's all done. All I got to do now is cable tie those brake lines at the back, just on the diff housing, so they don't get hung up anywhere. Also, shout out to my good friend Andrew from Clutch Kick Junkies. Search him up on YouTube. He's actually building a mental R33 Skyline, and he's also got a RB25, I believe, S14 track car, and his content's really good, and I'm going to be drifting with him on the 24th, along with a lot of my good friends, so make sure you stay tuned to see all that kind of stuff. And then this thing will be on song at track, so it should be interesting. But in the meantime, let's get this thing back on the ground and take it for a test drive. Alright, so as you can see in that last clip, I just did a couple of circles around back there, and everything seems fine. So I'll take it for a bit of a drive and see how we go. So fingers crossed. Seems pretty good. Diff's pretty quiet. The lash is actually so much better than my old one. The brakes needs a lot more bleeding. It's like a mattress on the floor. The brakes need a lot more bleeding. Pull up the hydrant. Yeah. Almost non-existent. So a lot more bleeding on the brakes, and I think we're good. Oh yeah. Still a little skid. This is a private road. Okay guys, so I'm pretty happy with how that came out. The diff actually is quite quiet. No noise from the lash. The old diff actually had a lot more noise than this diff. That's a mini spool, the old one. So I'm pretty happy with it. The brakes are a bit spongy. That's all I can probably fault, as well as the pedal sort of hits the floor on first, and then once you pump it up a bit, it comes on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get someone else to help me bleed the brakes. That way I can get a good indication of if there's a solid stream of fluid coming through the line. So I'm probably going to end it here. So I'd like to thank everyone for watching as well. I'm going to sort of film my whole prep for the track day, and obviously I'm going to film the day itself and film everything. So it should be pretty good. So hope you enjoy the next one, and I'll see you later.